Hey everyone, Rho here. Well, earlier in the week we ranked the enemies of mankind, as I cast my vote to the Tyranids as the Imperium's greatest threat. If you haven't watched that one yet, be sure to go back and check it out, to see whether you agree or disagree with my rankings. As I said in that one, I had contemplated separating the Chaos faction into two. One being the Ruinous Powers of the Dark Gods themselves, and the other being the Traitor Astartes. I didn't go with it in the end, as you know, because I felt you just can't have one without the other. However, I really wanted to focus on the Traitor Legions today, especially with the upcoming Angron and World Eaters release, just how that may affect my opinions going forward. So today we're ranking the Traitor Legions in terms of threat to the Imperium. Now, when we cast this to your vote last year in our Traitor Legion war, your vote actually had the Death Guard coming out victorious. Now that was against their fellow legions, but I'm quite interested to know if the popular vote would still be the same. Now, as always, this is just my opinion. Agree or disagree, that's the beauty about the lore discussions. We all have our own opinions. Make sure to drop your comments and rankings in the comments below. But with all that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, unfortunately, someone has to come last. And of all the decisions, honestly, this was the hardest one. However, first up, in 9th place, I'm going with the Alpha Legion. Now, the Sons of Alpharius are absolutely still a big threat for the Imperium of Man. However, someone had to open up my rankings, and well, for me, it's them. Too much regarding the Alpha Legion is simply unknown. From afar, they don't even resemble a legion anymore. Simply nothing more than scattered warbands. Now, admittedly, initially this was very much the intention. In the aftermath of Omegon's fall at Escrador, the remnants of the Legion splintered into smaller factions, in order to easier remain hidden from the vengeful Imperium. And I will freely admit, there is the possibility that the Alpha Legion remain united. Far more in united coordination than the outside look would have us believe, even perhaps with their Primarchs secretly out there still. But for me, I just don't see it. While the initial intention behind separating the Legion was well founded, the past 10,000 years have not been kind. We have seen how isolated these pockets of the Alpha Legion have become, simply reduced to a struggle for survival, scattered anywhere and everywhere across the galaxy. This long-term isolation has had a profound effect on the ideology of the former Legion as well. Without its Primarch's leadership, the warbands of the Alpha Legion have a remarkably different outlook. Some care only for survival, some have embraced the Ruinous Powers, some remain tied to their Primarch's vision of a true ultimate victory, and others actively fight chaos, despite being labelled as traitors. The Alpha Legion's skills and abilities are second to none. Their ability to infiltrate the Imperium can rightly cause havoc. Even the Throne World has found itself worryingly infiltrated before. The Alpha Legion are an undoubted threat. However, as a legion, lacking that sheer overwhelming force that most of their fellow legions can bring to bear, for me it's hard to have the Alpha Legion any higher, at least until we get to see more of them in real force of numbers. We hear of Alpha Legion sabotage and plots, but very, very rarely full-scale Alpha Legion encounters. No, it's not in their nature. However, still, to be a true threat to the Imperium, You have to be able to bring that force to bear. So, overall, I just have to have the Alpha Legion at the bottom of my ranking. Next, coming in 8th place, I have the Night Lords. Now, anyone who's read the Sublime Night Lords trilogy by ADB will no doubt feel the desire to have the Night Lords far higher in their rankings. And I get it, I am no different. ADB crafted an absolutely fantastic set of characters and story, really showcasing the viciousness and lethality of the Midnight Clad. However, as equally as we saw the Night Lord's nature, we also saw just how far they have truly fallen as a legion, truly reduced down to a few vying warbands, forced to barter and trade with other renegades for supplies, to throw in their lot with Black Legion forces, to steal the war gear of those they slay, to repair their own battered and salvaged equipment. The Night Lords in truth are a far cry from the Legion of old, the Legion who conquered worlds quicker than any other. The reason for that fall is, as we know, the loss of the one aspect that unified them all, murderers and criminals alike, their Primarch Conrad Kurz, the Night Haunter. Without Kurz to lead the Legion, they almost instantly fell to infighting, as power struggles erupted from the remaining command. And from that point on, it only ever kept going in the wrong direction. The Night Lords are a far cry from the force they once were. However, unlike their Alpha Legion compatriots, they don't only rely on subterfuge and infiltration. Their warbands are still forces in their own right, bringing all the spine-chilling terror for which the Night Lords are renowned. Many warbands across the galaxy can still go toe-to-toe in large-scale conflicts if they desire. And that could be the key for this Legion's future for me, because they can still be brought back together if they have need. For all their selfish desires, for all their murderous and betraying tendencies, they are still tied by the bonds of the Midnight Clad. As we saw with the recovery of their Primarch's assassination video, the Night Haunter's final moments, the Legion of old united to retrieve it. If the call goes out, if there is real need, their brothers will come, as much as they may despise each other. However you want to look at it, that is a pretty big tick in the Night Lords column. And we've even seen once again the Night Lords come together in force to assault the Eldari craft world of Ulthwé. So it really feels like the Night Lords' fortunes could be changing. Many warbands have claimed territory within Imperium Nihilus, setting up new dark empires. And with the chaos ravaging the Imperium, it has made it easier than ever for the Night Lords to operate. They may not be the most unified, the force that they once were, so they remain in 8th on my rankings. However, undoubtedly the Midnight Clad could soon be about to rise, and that could be a very, very big problem. Next in 7th, I have the Emperor's Children. In the aftermath of the Traitor Legion War, the Emperor's Children were devastated. Literally a broken legion, shattered into countless warbands. Honestly, initially I had them at the very bottom of the ranking. Of all the Traitor Legions, it really feels like they lost their way. That with the embrace of Slaanesh, the powers that be simply fell to pursuing their own agendas. Sure, those of the Night Lords did it. However, that's not really outside their nature. for the legion that the Emperor's Children once was. This was really a tragic fall. Outside the infamous agendas of Fabius Bile, the Emperor's Children were really, if ever, heard of. So for me, yeah, they really deserve to be right at the bottom. But there are two big factors that changed my mind. Firstly, the concentrated effort that's been going on to reunify the Legion. Eidolon, the self-titled Lord Commander Primus, leads by far and away the largest Emperor's Children warband, named the Phoenix Conclave, and he has been actively attempting to rebuild the Legion of old. While we don't know a large amount of detail, we know enough to say that he is succeeding. As already stated, we know the Phoenix Conclave is already the largest Emperor's Children warband. They have rebuilt their one-time devastated base on the demon world of Harmony. This force of Emperor's Children is far more disciplined than a mere warband. The Conclave has many hallmarks to the Legion of old, as much as Slaanesh worship will allow anyway. And even rather smartly, an alliance has been struck with Abaddon, ensuring a very powerful ally. By the time of the Great Rift, we are told the Emperor's Children have never been more unified since the days of the Heresy. So that's a fairly powerful statement, really showing that the Emperor's Children could well be operating at, or if not close to, real Legion strength. So for me, that alone places them above the Night Lords and the Alpha Legion. Operating as a Legion really has huge advantages. Now the second factor is the Phoenician Fulgrim. I have had to abandon my hopes of a Fulgrim return for quite a while. While it seemed all but certain a few years ago, it just never transpired. However, lore-wise he is still out there somewhere, and reports of a monster matching his description are becoming ever more frequent from battlefields across the Imperium. Yes, Fulgrim has pretty much checked out since his ascension to demonhood, not really caring about the heresy, drawn into the gods' great game. However, none of that tarnishes his ability, and the Phoenician is not to be underestimated. If you missed the discussion we did on Fulgrim a few weeks ago, then you may want to go back and check it out, because really when you look at what Fulgrim has achieved, it's really a blessing for the Imperium he has been gone. This guy not only killed Rabute Guilliman, but he absolutely outsmarted and schooled him in the process. Fulgrim absolutely dominated Guilliman in the campaign beforehand to do so. When Fulgrim actually puts his mind to something, he is a terrifying prospect. Let's not forget this guy has killed two Primarchs, Guilliman and Ferrus Manus. The only problem with Fulgrim is he just hasn't put his mind to something since destroying Guilliman. If Fulgrim were to return, not only would he find the Legion far more structured and stable, but he'd also be able to unite the various factions opposed. We've seen from the Heresy he's able to unleash a psychic scream that echoes out across the Immaterium, summoning all of his sons together. And for all of his flaws, he is still their Primarch. None of them resist his call. So, despite a fairly unimpressive last 10,000 years, for me it is undoubted they represent a big threat going forward, and so they deserve their position here. Next we have the Thousand Sons. Now if this were purely a numbers decision, the Thousand Sons would have to be near, if not at the very bottom. However, the prowess of the Thousand Sons was never about a numerical advantage. They were always a small legion. It was their abilities as psychers that made them who they are. Ahriman's rubric devastated the Legion, costing valuable souls the Legion truly didn't have to spare. The now mindless rubrici left at the service of their brethren. Until that curse is cured, the Thousand Sons will never regain what I would call Legion status. They simply don't have the numbers. However, from a merely psychic aspect, well, it's hard to argue that they are not more powerful than ever. A single Thousand Sun sorcerer is capable of slaying dozens of foes in the single blink of an eye. True masters such as Ahriman can single-handedly face an entire army, even manipulating time. It's a power that few, if any, across the Imperium can match. In fact, honestly, in my opinion, I'd rate only Mephiston as a viable contender. And that's not even the start of it, because we're just getting to Magnus the Red. Ignore the pantomime villain aspect he's kind of become. That Saturday morning I'll get you next time Guilliman. Magnus the Red is the second most powerful sorcerer in the galaxy. He is behind only the Emperor of Mankind. Spoiler warning for the heresy here, but despite my hopes of a Malcador Magnus face-off, Magnus just incinerated the Sigillite in the blink of an eye. If you thought his sons were powerful sorcerers, then you have not seen anything yet. Magnus is off the charts powerful, and he has the mind to match. Magnus has managed to bring back the planet of the sorcerers into the material universe. And let's not just gloss over that. Magnus has moved an entire planet. Now located next to the ruins of his beloved Prospero, Magnus is carving out his own empire, a domain for the Changer of Ways. He seeks to harness the psychic awakening of psychers across the galaxy and bend them against the Imperium. While he's been foiled once, his plans remain undiminished. And so for me, Magnus represents a very grave threat for the Imperium of Man. You combine that with the power at his disposal, his sons, their new foothold within the galaxy. For me, it's a very grave error that Guilliman hasn't acted upon this already. Sure, he had Mortarion and his invasion of Ultramar to contend with, but every second you leave Magnus acting upon his plans, that's one more second you allow him to come closer to success. Magnus and his sons may be small in number, but their prowess and strategic planning for me more than make up for it. So the Thousand Sons more than earn their place as the 6th greatest Traitor Legion threat. Moving on in 5th, I have the World Eaters. Now this could be one I'll regret when Angron and their new codex drops. I'm hoping for some major lore narrative to come along with it, which you would expect builds Angron and the World Eaters as a major threat to the Imperium's survival. And look, they are no matter what. But until that happens, or if it happens, I have to go by what we have seen and know so far. The World Eaters are a primal force of rage incarnate. With the implementation of the Butcher's Nails, the fall to Khorne was only a matter of time. They became the embodiment of rage. Khorne may not care where the blood flows, and well, neither do the World Eaters. There's no real strategy with these guys. What you see is what you get. They are going to demolish you with overwhelming brute force. Really quite the opposite to the Legion we have just discussed in the Thousand Sons. Now in some ways obviously this makes the World Eaters highly predictable. However, predicting something and being able to truly comprehend it are something else. Many times throughout the lore, we have seen the forces of the Imperium disregard the World Eaters as mindless savages, easily countered, only for once the battle commences to realize the sheer gravity of their situation. Knowing what the World Eaters are does not mean you are ready to face them. A World Eater's invasion is nothing short of a terrifying proposition, a literal force of destruction that just obliterates everything in its path. In some ways you could say it's similar to the Tyranids, a simple, unstoppable force of nature. I admit I myself have disregarded the World Eaters in the past, feeling they are simply too predictable and thus easily countered. But it's stories such as Shroud of Night that really helped me appreciate how knowing and acting are two different things. The World Eater's structure is gone, barely resembling the Legion of old. Undoubtedly we'll get more information soon, but scattered warbands appear to be all that remains. Almost like the Orcs, drawn to the fight like a moth to the flame. Such a furious assault did the World Eaters unleash that the minions of Khorne are never far behind, coalescing and forming with ease in the bloodshed all around them. Since the dawn of the Great Rift, the true strength of the World Eaters is beginning to appear. They are being sighted on more war zones than ever. With the imminent return of Angron, the fury of the World Eaters may just be about to deal a blow to the Imperium they cannot recover from. No, they are not as tactical as the legions below them, but I feel they are such a potent force of wrath, really the embodiment of Khorne, that in this new galaxy of warfare, their strength is only growing. And that is a very bad thing for the Imperium. If Guilliman underestimates Angron and his World Eaters, the cost could very well be dire indeed. Let's not forget it took a whole 100 Grey Knights to remove Angron last time. This time around, the cost could be even greater. That's not something the Imperium has to spare. So, for me, the World Eaters undoubtedly deserve 5th place within my rankings. And maybe in a few months' time, they may even be climbing higher. Now that's it for part 1 today. Next time around we move into the top 4, seeing how the 4 remaining Traitor Legions break down as the greatest threat to the Imperium. Who do we have left? Well, we have the Death Guard, the Black Legion, the Word Bearers and the Iron Warriors. What do you think of my rankings so far? Agree or disagree? Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments below and leave your own rankings. As always, huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. With that said, I am off. And I'll see you all again real soon as we continue our Traitor Legion rankings.